the Dawgs Podcast with your hosts, Blake Reneker, Justin Charles, John Nye, and Josh All.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. My name is Derek Frisbee from DF Sports, and today we are going to talk about a couple keys to the season for the Browns and just kind of a quick updated prediction for this season record-wise. So before we do that, please be sure to check out the Dawgs Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter, or X, whichever one it is for you. Please be sure to like this video, drop a comment in the comment section, let me know what you think, as well as join the Patreon. Fantasy football is pretty much underway, but if you're already in the Patreon, you will be able to do that. But if you're a Browns fan, which I assume you are because you're here, you're going to want to be in that Discord. The Discord is popping off 24/7. If you want to talk about the Cleveland Browns, no matter where you're at in the world, you can do that in the Patreon. That's jointhedawgs.com to do that. Also, if you would like to get your voice heard on the show, thedawgspodcast.com is going to be your way to do that. If you have an opinion that you would like us to hear, and we will play it out on the show for you, thedawgspodcast.com is going to be your way to do that. And also, if you would like an intro on a podcast, you can do that there as well. So with that being said, as you already know, please be sure, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, all that jazz. So let's get into this and let's talk about some keys to the season for the Browns. A lot of these things are going to be pretty obvious, but I think there are a couple things here that is really important, and I'll save the most obvious one for last. But there's a couple of these that I really want to talk about, and one of them being Jerome Ford / the running back depth. The Browns offense is changing drastically, and that's a good thing. I think that's a really good thing. But you're putting a lot of trust in Jerome Ford, and the Browns went out and made a trade for Pierre Strong Jr. from the Patriots, who is kind of similar player to a Demetric Felton, right? He's at receiver out of the backfield, threat in the pass game, but he's not terrible running the football. And I think it's really good depth, but I think heading into this year, we're counting a lot and putting a lot of trust in number 34 and a lot of trust in the depth. And yes, the offensive line is great, right? We always talk about it. Anybody could run behind that offensive line. That's awesome. But if Nick Chubb, God forbid, were to get hurt, it's a lot of trust in a year or two running back that we've not seen a whole lot about, and a guy from the Patriots who we have not seen on this team. So I think that's a really important piece when you're looking at heading into this season. Nick Chubb always had Kareem Hunt, right? Not always, but for the most time here in Cleveland, for the most part rather, he had Kareem Hunt, and he was able to come out of the game and not skip a beat because you had a guy who is as talented as Kareem Hunt is and can offer you so much more, right? Kareem Hunt was great in the pass game. He could run the ball. He was fine. Jerome Ford, well, I think he can be that. We just don't know. We just don't know yet. We have not seen it yet. He looks explosive. He looks like a great athlete. We saw what he did at Cincinnati. It was fantastic. But I think that's a key part. I think that throughout the course of this year, injuries happen. Obviously don't want Nick Chubb to get hurt, but if it comes up and you have to count on Jerome Ford, that's a lot of trust. And it's a lot of trust that I would feel better about if I was confident in the depth behind Jerome Ford. I'm not confident as we currently stand with John Kelly. I'm not super confident with Demetric Felton, although he's looked great so far. I'm not confident in Pierre Strong just because I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm not going to say good or bad, but I am concerned about the running back depth. And I think that's going to be a piece where you need to have stability heading into this year throughout the rest of the course of the season for the Cleveland Browns. So that's one of them. Second thing, red zone efficiency. This has been a problem for the Browns and for Kevin Stefanski. And so far throughout camp, everybody's been talking about, Deshaun Watson's been great in the red zone. But so far in the preseason, we have seen struggles yet again in the red zone. And I think that is something that we really need to take advantage of this year. We have the weapons now. We have the versatility on offense. And I think you got to find ways to put up 6 and not 3, which also that's another point, kicker, which we'll talk about maybe in a little bit. But we just got to score. This can't be a year where it's marching down to the red zone, putting up 3. You just can't have that. And the division that we're in, the Bengals, even though Joe Burrow's hurt, they're still going to be good. The Steelers are always going to be tough. The Ravens are going to be really tough. You're fighting an uphill battle as far as in the division. And yes, we have a 4th place schedule this year, which is going to help you out a lot, even though I think we play some tough teams. You have got to find ways to score the football. And at the end of the day, that comes down to Kevin Stefanski, right? Deshaun Watson, so far in practice, looks great. That's awesome. But got to get creative. Got to find ways to punch the ball in for 6. And we have the weapons to do it. Just got to execute. So Kevin Stefanski, that's going to be a big thing I'm paying attention this year is the red zone efficiency. Because again, historically, we've struggled with it. But it's just something I want to see. Ohio, Caesars Sportsbook is kicking off the NFL season with a new bet $50, get $250 in bonus bets limited time offer. New users can sign up with our code DAWGSGET and redeem $250 in bonus bets after placing your first wager of $50 on any NFL game. Even if your first bet loses, you will receive one $50 bonus credit every week over the next 5 weeks. Make sure to enter our code DAWGSGET while signing up to have a bet on Caesars every week to start the NFL season. That's code DAWGSGET. Offer is only available for new customers who are 21 and older and are physically present in Ohio. Please remember to gamble responsibly. If you or a loved one has a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer to see if you can qualify. So, linebackers is the next one for me because I've kind of been worried about linebacker, but not really, right? The defensive line and the secondary is so much improved. Like, it's way, way, way better. But linebacker, I think we're okay. I think we're fine, but we're not great, right? We're just okay at linebacker. With linebacker, Kuzniak is hurt, tore his MCL. Jacob Phillips is hurt, tore his pec yet again hurt. I don't know if he tore his pec already, but we have just had some unfortunate injuries at linebacker. So you're looking at Sione Takitaki, Anthony Walker, JOK, Tony Fields, and Diabate. And we'll see if any surprises make that linebacker room. But I do think that Jim Schwartz's scheme is going to help out the linebackers as well as what we've done this offseason on the defensive line. And not even in the secondary, but just, again, putting guys in the right position. It's going to help out linebackers. It really will. But, again, I think that room is just a little questionable. Where if we're halfway through the year or we're getting close to the trade deadline, I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns made a move at linebacker to get somebody more solidified, kind of like we did last year. I know it didn't really work out, but, we'll see. That's kind of a wait and see room. I don't feel great about it. I don't feel terrible about it. And I feel like everybody around them will make the linebackers better. But for me, it is a question mark. So those are kind of 3 things. And the most obvious one of them all is health, right? The Browns have got to stay healthy. We have had year after year of Jack Conklin injuries, guys getting banged up. Wyatt Teller was injured a lot last year. And the problem for me is I think Za'Darius Smith this year is going to be a very, very, very critical piece. I'm fine with the depth that we have, obviously, at defensive end. I think it's really good. I think it's great. But Za'Darius Smith last year, unstoppable. Then he got hurt. And then he really, really dipped off in terms of production. For the Browns, I think this is the team to make a run. This is the team that we have to make a really, really good shot at whatever we're going for, which should be the Super Bowl. But obviously it starts within the division and then obviously getting to the playoffs and furthermore. But I think health is going to be a really big thing, which is obvious. Again, I know. But some of these pieces I don't feel super great about. Like, for instance, Denzel Ward's been hurt a lot. And if Denzel Ward gets hurt again, we might be fine. But I think just looking at the way that this defense is set up, it's set up, obviously, yes, for the starters. But if the depth comes in, and we've seen this throughout the preseason, where starting defense looks great, the defensive line looks great, but the secondary at times later in these games are giving up, deep balls that they really shouldn't, at least in my opinion. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I'm a little bit concerned about some of the rotations if guys are not healthy, which again, I know it's a really obvious thing, but it is something that you need to talk about because again, injuries always happen. It is what it is. So those are some of the key pieces. And obviously there's some other ones. Deshaun Watson has got to be himself, right? But I think all in all, the Browns, now that we've gotten through every preseason game, I think we're in a really good spot. I think the Browns are looking really good heading into the season. So with that being said, I forget what my initial schedule prediction was. But for me, I'm looking at, on the low end, 10-7. On the high end, I think 13-4. So I'm expecting anything in between there. I think 13-4 is highly unlikely. But I think it's more so like 11-6. I think we're looking at 11-6 or 12-5. That's what I'm expecting from the Browns this year. And I think that's a damn good year if you're a Cleveland Browns fan, looking at how tough the division is, how tough some of the teams we're playing are, because there's some wild cards in there. I don't know. Jacksonville could be outstanding. We just don't really know yet. Chicago, I think they'll be decent, but I think they're going to really pick up. And that's going to be a team that you don't want to see. That's going to be a team that you don't want to play in, especially where the Browns play them later on in the year. I don't feel super great about that. Could be wrong, could be overthinking it, but I do think there are a few trap games on this schedule. You play the NFC's best, in my opinion, with the 49ers outside of Philly, but there's a couple hard games, and that's outside of the division, right? And historically, we've been good against the Bengals, but again, like I said earlier, they're going to be tough. Steelers are going to be tough, even though I don't think they're that great. The Ravens are going to be tough. The Ravens have done a lot of interesting moves. I'm not terrified about any of them except one, and it's Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers is a stud. So every game's going to be tough. It's the NFL. Anybody can win any given week. We know this. But just looking on paper, looking so far what we've seen in the preseason, I'm feeling really good about this team. I'm feeling really good about where we're at. Again, for me, I think as long as the linebackers can be solid, I think we're in a really good spot. If Jerome Ford and Pierre Strong can help Nick Chubb, and if they need to come in and play solid, I think that's a big thing. Again, red zone and just health. So I know this is a very, very obvious video. Like you're going to be listening to this saying, yeah, of course. But it is what it is. I mean, that's just the truth. This is what we're looking at this season for the Browns. So I didn't throw special teams on there because, Cade York was cut and the Browns ended up bringing in D-Hop. It was just not the D-Hop we thought. So Dustin Hopkins, now the new kicker for the Cleveland Browns, Cade York is cut. It is what it is. I'm not terribly worried about special teams. It's not Bubba Ventrone's fault. It's just Cade York. Cade York struggled, and it sucks. but this is what we had to do. Had to go bring in a veteran. You trade a 2025 7th-round pick, which Andrew Berry was going to trade anyway. So, no, I'm not concerned really about special teams. That's why I did not mark that down. But again, it is Cleveland, so could become a problem. But yeah, with that being said, let me know your thoughts. Anything I say that you want to talk about, drop it in the comment section below. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Again, my name is Derek Frisbee. We will see you in the next one. Always go Browns.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Dawgs Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Twitter at the Dawgs Podcast. Get your thoughts on the show at thedawgspodcast.com.